For me, it was sort of like I didn't want to fall into that trap of, well, when I make enough money or when I find enough time, next year, 6 months from now, I'll do it. For me, that wasn't an option. It was like, no, I got to figure it out now because you know what? There's never a perfect time to get started, right? 6 months from now, I think like, oh, I'll have the ducks cleared, I'll have time, but something else in life is going to.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Eddie Austin BEX podcast. I have a guest on the day that I'm super excited about because she does what I do. She's a real estate professional, and I believe she set herself completely financially free from real estate, which is the coolest thing ever, and she has control over time. So without further ado, Hitomi, if you wouldn't mind telling the audience who you are and what you do, and just tell them your story, like what all you do and make life so exciting. I know you moved recently. You live in a beautiful place. I see the pictures. So let's hear it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. For people that don't know who my name is Hitomi, and I come from actually the textiles and apparel industry, the fashion industry. Not so much like design per se, but sort of bean counting, planning, like how many jeans, how many sweaters do the factories need to manufacture, and take those products and then launch stores overseas. And that's what I was doing. I was pretty much in the fashion industry for about 25 years. But prior to that, and kind of how I got into this whole real estate space, like, why would I change career, right? Because uh, I think for a lot of people, kind of just for me at least, uh, hit rock bottom just in terms of stress. I was how could I put it? Closet full of beautiful clothes and some nice things and this and that, but emotionally bankrupt. You know, I was just super burnt out. I had no social life, and I was always worrying about lack, that I could lose my job or the salary, whatnot, could dry up, and then I'd be in really, really big trouble and stuff like that. And for me, coming from a Japanese Asian family, uh, I would say being the oldest child, my parents were pretty strict on me growing up. That whole concept of, go to school, get good grades, and learn how to be a good employee. My father in particular never really kind of gave me that thought or encouragement about, you could own something someday. You could be the boss. It was always about being very obedient. You could be a good employee. And I kind of went down that rabbit hole, and then at the age of 58, my father passed away from cancer.
Mm.
So huge wake up call too, right? That you work really, really hard, all for what? And just like that, your life could be taken from you.
Well,
The problem was,
I know this is true. I spent 13 and a half years in a Toyota manufacturing plant. We manufactured brake parts for Toyota, and it was a Japanese owned and operated company. I spent time in Japan myself. And the difference in the cultures, and you can confirm or deny this, but the difference in the cultures is most Americans, we work to live, and the Japanese culture live to work. And it's just that's from hundreds of years ago, the descendant of your Japanese culture, that really becomes the real identity is your job. Like you're proud of it. I'm sure you were asked to go to college and get a degree and work in a certain field or become the lifeblood of whatever your parents were involved in as well.
definitely. And there's this kind of like family pride or family shame, I guess, in a sense, of like not letting the family down and disappointing them and all this
Mhm.
sort of stuff. And so it created a kind of perfectionism in me in terms of my personality, right? Fear of making a mistake. Everything's got to be perfect, And so as a result, I became kind of like this workaholic with extreme perfectionism, with everything that I did. So I went the whole hog and I got a doctorate degree, by the time I was 28. And then I started working, right? And constantly, like, I was the last one to leave the office and trying to be an overachiever, right? And it stemmed from the fear that I could get fired or I might lose my job and I better like extra perform so that nothing happened to that one single source of income, right? It just created this existence of just constant anxiety. And on the outside, right, people looking in, friends, family, they're like, what are you complaining about? What do you got to worry about? You got nice clothes, you have money, car, whatever. But it was just soul emptying, and very stressful to kind of maintain that thing, and if I wanted to make more money, then it meant working more hours. Like I got into that trap of trading time for money, that sort of thing, right?
That brings back memories to me.
Right. But
And,
I
and
didn't.
that's, it's the biggest, like, it's the biggest and worst thing you've ever been told, that puts the ultimate glass ceiling above you. I remember when I retired from corporate America, I had it stuck in my head that I only needed to make, or I needed to make $1,200 a week to survive. And breaking that was probably one of the hardest things I had to do at that point. And when I realized that I could make $1,200 in 1 hour, like it was like, that's not possible. That was an anomaly. And then when you realize that you could close one real estate deal and make two or 300,000, a million, 500,000, and in 3 to 5 years, you could make more in that 3 to 5 year period than you would in 10 years. Then you're like, maybe, maybe everything I was taught was wrong. Maybe this limiting belief is just, and was that the same for you? That you had that exact same aha moment, because you were just born and bred to be just exactly this. And when you started veering outside the lines, how was that for you?
I had a very powerful paradigm of fear that kept me from changing, right? I think that's why, even though those corporate years where I was just almost sleepwalking, showing up to work every day, being an overachiever and all that kind of stuff, I just felt trapped that I couldn't get out of that hamster wheel. So even though, I knew like, God, there's got to be more to life than this, it was just hard. I was just trapped, even though I wasn't really happy, right? And the irony is, all those years ago, I read those famous books like Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? And at the time, it's like that famous expression, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. It was almost like something in me, right, just wasn't ready. So even though I read those books and it's like, wow, this makes a lot of sense, and it was very entertaining and whatnot, I failed to put it into action, all those teachings. It's almost like I didn't know how to put it into action. So I just kind of kept, sleepwalking kind of and just going that certain path until one day, way back in 2018, I kind of pretty much hit rock bottom emotionally, where the unhappiness in my life outgrew any kind of fear of change. Like I was just so absolutely miserable in all aspects of my life. Financially, I was always worried, right? The workaholic was taking a toll on my health, all kinds of things just kind of came crashing down. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This is ridiculous. And so I really started paying attention to what a lot of the really successful people around me were achieving. And by success, there's many different definitions, right? But I'm talking balance, people that seem to have balance with financial, emotional, relationships, spiritual. Like I was completely out of balance in all of my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started observing like people that really seemed happy, right? Happy. And a lot of it was, multiple streams of income. And then, right, when you have that, when you don't have like fear anymore, financial freedom like erases fear, right? That creates that sense of security and happiness. But I also saw from them too, like, well, how are they achieving all that, right? And a common denominator for many of that I observed was real estate. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I got to get into this game and I got to check this thing out, right?
Yeah.
And then my issue was I only thought of like the typical thing, like, okay, buying a duplex or flipping or just very limited. I just didn't understand that there was so many other avenues within the whole real estate game, right? So
Mm-hmm.
first thing I did was start getting myself educated. I started attending seminars to kind of learn about all the different options out there. And for me, when I discovered multifamily and syndication, like team, I was like, wow, that's the thing, right? Because up until that point, I thought you have to be rich to buy an apartment complex. Like only the rich get it. Average person like me, no way, no way, no way, Jose, kind of thing, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
was my misconception. I really thought that you had to be born rich, lucky, somehow before able to get started, and that was so not true. And I'm so glad that I took that leap of faith to get educated. And then I surrounded myself with, mentors and experienced people to kind of start plugging away.
Well, that's the magic ticket, right? And there's so many ways to make real estate work for you. And I wrote an ebook a while back, and it's almost every single way possible within about 15 different things to make money in real estate. But I always ask the people that I coach, and I'm sure the people that you coach, you ask them the same thing. What's the one thing that's going to set you free, and what are you most passionate about? Because a lot of us go after this for the reason of money. And I certainly did too at one point. And I also thought, well, I needed multiple streams of income to retire. Well, a no multitasker becomes extremely wealthy. They focus on one thing. And why don't you figure out the biggest thing? Like what's the biggest domino in the room? A lot of us, we do house flips, we do wholesales, we do all these little things in real estate, and we run around knocking down all these little small dominoes. But if we just went after the big multifamily, and there's a path to get there, it's not just go buy that 200 unit, buy some smaller units and build yourself up to this, build your confidence, build your team, build your systems, build your underwriting, understand it, and then go after 150, a 200 unit deal. Now you're knocking down the big domino, and it shakes enough that it knocks down all the rest of these little ones, and they're irrelevant. Flipping houses is irrelevant, wholesaling's irrelevant. Like, I won't waste my time on that stuff anymore because I've graduated, because I've realized that this doesn't make me enough money. This keeps me stuck. It makes me just enough to keep me stuck. But if I go out here and go after this and put all my effort into this one vertical can not only save my family, it can save the people around me as well.
Absolutely. And I think the key here is leveraging other people and each other's strengths, right? Because
Yes.
it really is a team sport. Like it's very difficult for one person to be really good at everything, right? And so I think that was something else. My problem before was I was trying to do everything by myself, control freak, right? Trying to do everything by myself, staying up late and all that kind of stuff, right? Relinquishing that control, right? Was very hard for me. Not because I thought I was so brilliant or whatever. It was just, again, it's an anxiety, right? It's an anxiousness of like, oh, what if it doesn't go right? So being a perfectionist, right? You end up hanging on to everything for dear life. And that's what I realized was my big mistake in the past, right? Was not learning how to delegate, not learning how to, leverage systems, right? Doing everything like manually because I was like triple checking, like almost like OCD, right? Did I lock the door? And I leave. I'm like, wait, did I lock the door? And I go back and
Yeah.
check I locked the door. Like, right, that just right, just so inefficient, right? And so when I started, really kind of understanding it is okay to like relinquish control. It is okay to share responsibilities that you get a lot more done together, right? And stuff like that. But also too, right? Just learning. I just like learning from other more experienced people.
Well, let's go back to that for a minute. And you said something that's very powerful that I think most of us forget is finding a mentor. So if you want to be successful in that area, number one, search out who's your mentor. Like, who is the person in that space that has the desired life that you're looking for? And then figure out if they offer a coaching program, a self-help book, a course, a seminar, a conference, something. How do you get in that person's inner circle? Because I think a lot of us, we have that control that I want to learn all this on my own. I want to go to YouTube. I want to go to Instagram. I want to read all the self-help books. And we end up formulating this opinion of all these different things. And then I think we subconsciously build in all the limited beliefs. Well, that worked for him because that's him. And I'm doing this and my mindset's here. So I don't think that will work for me. And that's not true. I think that if you have the ability to have a big enough why that you're going to do this, and you see that person that's up here doing exactly what you want to do, find out a way to hire them. Find out a way to be around them. Say, hey, can I work for you for free for the next 6 months or the next year? Because I just want to learn what you're doing. I just want to soak it all up. And then all those limited beliefs kind of just melt away because you're seeing it in real time. Like seeing is believing, right?
That's exactly kind of what happened to me. When I first got started, I used to be up until 2 in the morning every night, every morning, trying to understand how to underwrite deals, and, calling this broker and doing that, whatnot, right? Because nobody could ever question my work ethic. I've always had crazy, crazy high work ethic. But the problem is, if it's misguided and you're spending your time on the wrong activities, you're just burning out and not getting any results. But you think you're working really hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so one of my very, very early mentors, and we're still very, very close today, and I'm forever grateful to him to really help kickstart all of this. That's exactly what happened, right? He took me under his wing, and I was underwriting for him for free, for about a year or so, a bunch of different deals and everything, in exchange for the most powerful gift, which was feedback. Feedback.
That's the
Raw,
magic ticket.
honest feedback. The ugly. Like, this is where you screwed up. Oh my God, how could you make this $17 million mistake? Stuff like that, right? Things where, on some instances, it made me burst into tears because two reasons. One, I was so embarrassed, right? Like, oh my God, that I actually made that kind of mistake. But number two, I was so mad at myself. Like, dang it. Why didn't I catch that? Blah, blah. But it was all just so good for me, just to I like when people are just to the point like that, straight shooters, like, this is where you screwed up. This is why, this is how you can make it better, stuff like that. And I just never quit. I just kind of kept going and kept getting better, and stuff like that. And then also getting perspectives of multiple different mentors, right? Because there's not one way to do this business. And so you just learn from so many different people through their own challenges that they've all gone through. Like, don't make the same mistake I did, right? And then just embracing that, right? But I think from all of this, I think the biggest thing though is about taking action, like you said, right? Mentors and everything. For me, it was sort of like I didn't want to fall into that trap of, well, when I make enough money or when I find enough time, next year, 6 months from now, I'll do it. For me, that wasn't an option. It was like, no, I got to figure it out now because you know what? There's never a perfect time to get started, right? 6 months from now, I think like, oh, I'll have the ducks cleared, I'll have time, but something else in life is going to
It
happen.
always does. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, nobody is adding more sand to your hourglass. That sand is running, whether you're making a decision or not. And indecision is a decision. At the end of the day, not making a decision, you made the decision not to. So you took action, but you took the wrong action. And I want to go back for a second. Your mentor gave you feedback. And there's two things I want to touch on there. I believe that you're either earning or you're learning. So either one, earning means you're earning your experience from battle scars. And then you got the best of both worlds because he was allowing you to have a long enough rope to go out here and underwrite and make a mistake. So you were earning at that aspect of that. But the other time you were learning and you were learning from him. And the cool part is you weren't paying him to learn, but you were working for free. So you were giving up something. You're giving up your ultimate thing, which is your time. But the amount of education you walked away with was the coolest part. You learned and you earned at the exact same time, which is powerful because lessons cost money, good lessons cost lots. And the other thing is I don't believe that success is a good teacher. I know it's not because I've learned hardly anything from success that actually made me go way farther in life. And another thing is it's what we don't know that costs us the most. And I laugh because I watch so many people go so far and they start making mistakes and they're like, I don't know why this happened because you didn't know. And it cost you something. And I think it's supposed to cost you something.
Absolutely. And I've definitely had some battle scars. I'm definitely not what you call an overnight success in this space.
That's what the general public believes. They're like, oh man, Hitomi went from in the fashion industry, clothing industry to real estate. And now she's out here closing. But by the way, congratulations on your last closing. I know that's
Thank you.
something you've been working for a little while. And look, I keep a pulse on the market. I really do. And from the time that I see somebody start advertising a deal to the time it's closed, that really shows if a person's got it together or not. And what looked like record time to me, you guys did an amazing job. I attended one of your webinars. I watched the pitch. I had minimal questions. And then next thing I know, you got it closed. So congratulations on that.
Thank
Another
you.
multifamily deal.
Have to really give credit to our captain, our key principal on that deal, our leader, right? And then my two other partners as well, right? It really is a team effort. And we
That's it.
like to say, like, we all just keep rowing in the same boat, right? We're all rowing together, on a united front. Very blessed to be able to work with people that I absolutely love and adore. So that's another great thing about what we do, right? Is now we can like surround ourselves with people we actually enjoy being with, right? Whereas
Yes.
in the corporate world, back where I came from, you're just right.
They're
You have
just
no
all
choice.
they're what do you call it? They're your not accomplices. They're your competitive employees that sit next to you that are just kind of your team members. And in the mentality of the person in cube world, meaning if you're in a cubicle in an office space, all these people are all barking for the same order, or they're just there to do their work and go home. It's not a healthy environment. This sport is such a healthy environment because it makes us level up all the time. And I know your partners and you have amazing partners. And that's what I love about this business is I have the ability to play on other people's teams and I have the ability to be able to bring people to my team. And everybody works together. You learn from everybody. And it's such a team sport. It is. And it's so beautiful to be able to actually take along all of us together for the same goal. And that it's only because the dollar sign is big enough that everybody can get paid from it. Like nobody needs to work in their own little silo and make their own little salary. There's enough that it gets split off in multiple ways to be able to pay everybody. Because I think at the end of the day, I believe that we're all chasing one thing. And that one thing is we're all trying to make enough money to go wherever we want, whenever we want, take whoever we want with us for as long as we want. So why are we taking separate paths?
And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. In this particular business, right? There are many different paths to time and financial freedom, right? We all
Yes,
just happen to all love real estate, and so that's our vehicle, right? But there's a tactical side to real estate, right? Which we all need to master, which is the math, right? Because we're buying
that
businesses. So we have to understand the math, right? And then people skills, i.e., investor relations. You got to be able to talk to people, right? But for me, you know, that aside, the math and the people skills for like investor relations, it's the personal growth that I've had to go through to become, who I am today, right? I had to be able to become, you know, entrepreneurial thinking. I had to overcome my limiting beliefs, my sense of self-worth. Am I worthy of this? Can I be self-employed? Can I be independent? Can I make things happen, right? Having the consistency, the discipline, right? To get up out of bed every morning, even when I don't want to, right? To make that phone call, even though I'm scared to, right? Like all those things I had to grow to be successful, to be what I've been doing today, right? I mean, ask me 10 years ago that I'd be talking on podcasts or even on a small stage. Never in a million years, because I'm an introvert, you know?
right.
Never in a million, because I don't like the spotlight being on me. I'm very much like a behind the scenes kind of person, right? But these are all the things, the evolution that I've had to go through to make me a better person, And so in some ways, building financial wealth and all that stuff's fabulous, right? We all want that security. But I look back on my journey, I love more what it's done for me as a person, the courage that I've developed, right? Going from a kitty cat to a lion. You know what I mean? That part of it, because nobody can take that away from me, right? Like people could take the money away. I can go bankrupt tomorrow. Like, it's like something could happen, right? Could lose it all. But the journey I've gone to becoming the better person that I am, that for me has been super rewarding through this whole process too.
Well, first I have to address something. I've met you in person. I've seen you on stage. I've seen you on screen and webinars. You don't seem very introverted. I don't think anybody told you were introverted, maybe only beside yourself. I think you do amazing. But we definitely, some of us have a longer and shorter social battery, and maybe that might be shorter. But me personally, I don't identify you as being introverted at all.
Thank
But
you. I think I've
you're
grown a
welcome.
lot.
You have. You've done so good. And you could never tell. So I think you've graduated from being an introvert. I think we can put that one away. But the other thing is, it's magical, and I think it's the reason for your success at some degree, is you said repeatedly, can I be? And I think some of us switch that around and they add some letters and they say, I can't do this. And they immediately, they're right. You know, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You're 100%. Both of those are true. But you said, can I be? And you believe that you could try this and you're going to see if it would work. You didn't say, oh, I'll never be that, or I can't do this. Like, you never put those reservations on yourself, because the words we speak really matter. They truly do. And has there been a time for you that you had to change your vocabulary, the things that you spoke? Or have you always just been blessed with a great words of wisdom
No, I mean, even as recently as last year, right? I'm sure even you, right? You're growing and
every day?
every year you keep getting bigger, right? But I caught myself last year when my mentors, and different people, even my CPA was like, Tommy, you need to move. You need to get out of California, right? You've now left the W-2 and all this kind of stuff, right? But another big part of building wealth is tax management. And you're absolutely getting hammered with taxes here in California. I mean, I love California. Lots of people love California, the beauty, the outdoors, blah, 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 right? But they were right. I was just absolutely bleeding from taxes. So they said, so if you don't really have anything anchoring you there, right, you need to pack up and move. So the paradigm kicked in. But wait a minute. But like my friends, my family,
Yeah.
what am I going to do with the thing that I own, the condo that I own? Like, oh my God, and where would I go? How am I going to find a new place? How am I going to make friends? Like all the, like, right? And then I finally like kind of slapped myself, and I'm like, I'm doing exactly the same excuses and obstacles that other people do when fear kicks in, fear of the
Yeah.
unknown, right? So I had to really change that paradigm. Instead of, what if I can't find a place to live? Or what if I don't make any friends? It was the other way around. What if I find the most amazing place to live? What if I meet a whole gaggle of new friends? And who knows what, right? Like look at it from a positive way. And then, you know what? That's when the universe opens up. All of a sudden, right? I targeted, okay, August 1st. This is August 1st, 2024, last year. I'm going to do it. So in May, I, through a friend of a friend, found a lady that was willing to rent me her condo fully furnished in, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. This is where I chose that I wanted to go. I looked at all the different states, and Jackson Hole just really kind of spoke to me, right? Really small little town, but just really beautiful, tax haven, all that stuff. So I rented a place for 1 month, fully furnished. And during that time, I like looked at all these different places to live. And by the third week, my heart was starting to sink. It was really hard to find someplace. But then on the final week, I posted myself on Facebook, hey, professional, looking for a place to live. Within 10 minutes, my current landlord called. I never look on Facebook, but your thing popped up. I think you should come check this place out. So just like that, boom, found a place. Then I drove all the way back to California. Now what am I going to do with my place? The same thing, the universe, right? All of a sudden, I found the perfect tenant for my place. And that all worked out, and the timing was perfect. Both of us, I'm leaving August, they need to move in August. So it all just kind of worked out, right? And then I came out here. And then guess what? Keep my heart open. I've met so many new friends here, right? We go activities, do things on the outdoors, and then continue to just keep doing real estate, because once a month or so I'm on an airplane somewhere going to national networking events everywhere. You know what I mean? So I think if anything, what moving here has provided for me is balance. Because now, since I'm in a new area, there's plenty of things I want to explore. I force myself to shut that laptop off by like 6 o'clock, and I go out. even if it's for a walk along the river, I go out. Whereas before, I literally just would just keep on working because what else is
Yeah.
there to do, kind of thing. Like I had so lack of balance.
Well, man, you said so many good things there. And I remember the post. I remember when you posted your GPS guidance to where you were going. I remember that picture on Facebook, and I thought, where's she going? Because I knew you're a California person, and next thing I know, you're moving there, and I thought that was so cool. I'm originally a West Palm Beach, Florida boy, so I moved, kind of cross country, not near as far as you did, but it's so cool when you really lean into the universe and you open yourself up. You take all the caveats, all the reservations off, and you're like, I'm not going to allow fear to stop me, because fear stands for false evidence appearing real. So I'm not going to let any of that creep in. I'm just going to go and see, and I'm going to explore. And there's so much adventure in exploring and doing these things. Like, I was very lucky. Some very traumatic things happened to me when I was a baby. But I think one of the things was the greatest gift that could ever happen. I don't feel fear. When I see fear, I run towards it. So I've always been able to translate that into everything that I do. My biggest problem was running towards the wrong things because I thought they were exciting. But at the end of the day, you moving across country gave you the greatest gift. And I think that was taking time to go out and explore the bigger universe, to getting out of the nutshell of California, the taxifornia might say, and getting out in the open air into the big country, and then having the reason to shut the laptop and go, I'm going to go explore. I'm going to go make friends. And what's to say how much of your life has improved since that's happened?
It's been just incredible. I mean, seriously, I feel alive. I feel hopeful, right? Hopeful. I think that's what I was lacking before. Before I felt like this is it. Like,
I've
wow.
made
You
it.
know what I mean? Yeah, like
Is this what it
this
looks
is
like?
it. Seriously, right? But now it's like there's hope again, about all these new things that have yet to come, right? New experiences yet to come, people. Are we saying that like life is problem free? Of course not, right? There's always little hiccups and things like that. But I look at it differently. Whereas before it was like, oh my God, not another thing. You get into that sort of like, oh, kind of mentality, right? Where everything becomes so overwhelming. Now it's just more like, oh well, okay, just have to figure it out, right? Just have to figure it out. So I don't carry it as much as I used to. But again, I still have to check myself, and that's one really good thing about having great partners, business partners, is they call me out. Hitomi, your attitude this week, you're kind of getting a little negative here, right? With the stress or this, the things aren't going the way you want, and I can feel it in your voice when we have these Zoom meetings or something. Take a deep breath. Have a check, right? So my business partners are really good to help keep me centered, right? But I think I do the same back for them as well, right? So we all
We
like
do.
we all try to like help each other, and stay focused, and like remind ourselves, why are we doing this,
Right.
right? It's supposed to be fun.
It is. And that's the thing is you have the ability to smile in what you're doing. And it's a choice. Taking the smile is a choice. Becoming better is a choice. And it's making more of it's like feeding the good wolf more than the bad one. And everything starts to change. What has been the biggest change of your life other than moving that really helped you get to this other side? What was it a person said something to you? Was it a book? Was it a podcast? Was it a combination of all? If you could put your finger on it, what's the one thing that really made you change?
I think is getting to a position where I could actually help people and make an impact
Mm-hmm.
on somebody else.
Yep.
Being able to help somebody else and seeing the joy in them has been such a great reward, because this
Yeah.
is not an easy journey, right?
No.
Entrepreneurship, real estate, just this whole change, right? So that when somebody else who's maybe just getting started comes to me and is like, wow, Hitomi, how have you done it, right? I show them that it wasn't through luck. It wasn't through just, you know what I mean? Like it was through learning and surrounding myself with mentors and stuff like that. But more importantly, gives them hope that they can do it too. Because I'm not like some superhuman person, I'm not like super smart. I'm not lucky. It's just that it is possible. It is within reach, right? Because I think that's the thing. What stops a lot of people from even starting or even trying is they think, it's not going to work for me,
Yeah.
or
Oh, that's
somehow,
true.
you know. And so, being able to actually help another person, and seeing that, their
I love
happiness.
that.
I love
I
that.
definitely relate to that. I think that was the biggest thing is I continuously ask myself, how many people am I helping? With what I'm currently doing right now, how many people am I helping? And that's one of the biggest things that was changed for me is I thought I've got to get to a position to where I can help way, way more people. And I just felt called to serve to do that. The other thing that I absolutely love about what you guys do is you teach as well, and you teach the math. And that's so helpful for so many people because you have to understand the math. The math is the blueprint. It's the biggest part of the business plan. So I know that you not only help people with with getting investors returns, you help the tenants that live on the property by improving the property. You help the neighborhood. You help the person that sells the property. And then you help ultimately your partners stay in a vertical alignment to what you're really trying to do. And I think that's just magical.
Yeah, thank you. It makes us better people and better investors because our students teach us so much, because it's like a mirror, right? They're like a mirror of us.
Yes.
So when I see the pain, frustration, disappointment, all those things amongst the newer people just starting off, right? It just reminds me again about how much I've grown, because I once was them, right? And the fact that I can make an impact with my business partner together, that we can make an impact and help wipe away some of those tears that I've seen
Yeah.
them shed, right? There's
Yeah.
frustration and whatnot, that we can actually say, it's going to be okay. Just never quit.
That's it.
That's the biggest message out of all of this. Just don't quit. I don't care if it takes you a year or 2 years. I was not an overnight success, right? I shudder to think if I had quit back then, like, oh my God, what would my life be like today,
Right.
right? But there were times back then, there were dark days for me, man. Like, I remember when COVID happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? Devastated two deals that I thought finally, those things fell apart. I could have easily quit at that point, going, it doesn't work. Oh my God, the world's coming to an end, COVID. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I shed a lot of tears.
Of course.
I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed to say that I have shed a lot of tears, sometimes in private, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
in front of my mentor,
Yeah.
where I was like, I just don't know, man. And my mentor's like, Hitomi, they like, you know, grab me by the scruff of my neck, snap out of it, snap out of it.
Well,
I'm here for you. You know,
nothing easy pays well. And another thing is it's all uphill. There's beautiful things to see in the valley. There's flowers, but you just got to keep climbing. Everything's a climb, and understanding that as long as you never give up, that's when everybody's going to lose, when they give up. So let's move into the lightning round. We're towards the end of our podcast here. About 3 questions. Answer them as quick as you can come to them. Number one, how are you using AI to change your daily life, or are you using it at all?
sure. AI, we definitely use it in underwriting. It helps with data sorting, data management, the financials, things like that. And also in terms of operations, right? Communication with tenants, prospective tenants, right? Outgoing messages, DMs, all that stuff for sure.
Yep. Number one author that you like.
Bob Proctor.
Love that.
Yeah.
I'm
The
assuming the
late,
next one's going to be the same. Number one book that changed your life.
I think it's going to be that classic, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah. I think if we wouldn't get so involved, we could read the title and just remember that and then write it down, and our lives would change. You don't even hardly need to read the entire book. to emphasize how powerful the title really is. Because if you can think, if you can have vision, you will grow very rich. And that's it. I think that there's so many creative ways, like you said, to do real estate, so many different types of real estate, different ways to do real estate, and even business, so many different ways. And I think a lot of us forget the think part. I think if we refuse to have vision, we just perish.
Definitely. And then taking action.
That's it. That's the number one thing you got to do next is take action. Tell me, where can people find you?
They can find me at info at underwriting to win. What's the best way to put that? Info at uw2win.com. They can reach out that way.
Yep. One more time.
Info, INFO, at UW, the number 2, win.
Perfect. We'll put all those links in the chat and in the actual description of this video. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast and sharing your journey. And I know the listeners will absolutely love everything that you've said. They'll resonate with this. And everybody out here, the audience, I'm asking you to do one thing, and I'm asking you to be extraordinary. How do you be extraordinary? Like and subscribe. And if you heard this podcast and it spoke to you, if you felt something from it, then do Hitomi a favor, do us a favor, do your friend a favor, share this with somebody else. That's the only way we grow, is by sharing this knowledge with other people. So I thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.